Indonesia dan Prancis semakin mesra. Tahun ini Indonesia memborong jet tempur asal Prancis dengan nilai fantastis 116 triliun rupiah. Lantas seperti apa transaksi ini akan membawa hubungan antara Indonesia dan juga Prancis? Dan juga kita ketahui saat ini Prancis tengah mendapat sorotan karena melonggarkan restriksi atau protokol kesehatan dari COVID-19 di tengah penambahan kasus yang juga masih tinggi. Kita akan langsung membahasnya bersama dengan Duta Besar Prancis untuk Indonesia, His Excellency Olivier Chambard. Saya Monica Chua, Anda menyaksikan Prime Words CNBC Indonesia. Hello, very good morning to you, Ambassador Chambard. Ya, saat ini saya sudah bersama dengan Duta Besar Prancis untuk Indonesia, His Excellency Olivier Chambard. Hello, very good morning to you, Ambassador Chambard. Bonjour.
Hello, bonjour.
How are you today?
Fine, excellent.
Excellent. Okay, so first question, let's talk about the current topic, the cooperation between Indonesia and also France in the defense sector with the purchase of the Rafale jets for Indonesia. So can you tell us more about this jet and what is the advantages when we talk about this jet compared to the other jets in the industry?
The French Rafale is an excellent aircraft which is combat proven, and you know that for combat fighters it's very important to have combat proven equipment. So this is the case of the Rafale. It's a plane which has been sold all over the world, which is in use in the French army and is quite active on many operational sites. So a war aircraft, combat proven. It's also, apart from the commercial aspect, this contract is also has also a political meaning in that you know that France and Indonesia have developed strategic partnerships for 10 years. And when two countries so involved in world politics are having joint military cooperation with such sophisticated weapons, it means that they share many views on diplomacy, on geostrategic matters. And so Rafale is also a proof that our two countries are having a very intense strategic cooperation.
Okay, but will the purchase of this aircraft or these fighter jets will also be accompanied by the transfer of technology? As we know that operating such fighter jets must have some certain skills and ability of the human resources.
Yeah, it's a global package with transfer of technology, training, maintenance. And alongside the Rafale contract, there was also MOU between PT PAL and Naval Group about submarines, which, if this goes into contract, will also have a huge transfer of technology and local production. Because if the submarines if the contract of the submarines is done, they are going to be built in Indonesia. So all the armament contracts have technology transfer of technology and partly a local production.
Okay, very interesting. And Ambassador Chambard, we also know that this is not the first time that Indonesia and France are cooperating in terms of the defense sector. So is there any further discussion to maybe increase more cooperation for Indonesia and also France in the defense sector?
Well, Indonesia is engaged in the modernization of the armed force, especially the naval component and the air force. And France is keen to provide equipment to Indonesia and is offering its technology and capability. So we spoke about the combat aircraft, the submarines. There are also military satellites, radars, ammunitions, surface ships. you name it. France has a very advanced technology in armament and all kind of armament. So we are in discussion with the Indonesian part.
Okay, Ambassador Chambard, we do know that Indonesia has, shown support in terms of the defense sector with the purchase of the fighter jets. So maybe is there any support as well or cooperation between France and Indonesia for the presence of the Indonesian CPO in the European market?
Well, the Prime is present in the European market since a long time. The European market is not imposing huge import taxes on palm oil, because I'm mentioning that because I hear often that people think that there's an embargo about palm oil in Europe, which is not the case. In fact, the import taxes in Europe are far lower than the one in China or India, who are big importers of palm oil. But of course, there are discussions between Indonesia and Europe about the impact of the palm oil production on the deforestation. So it's something that is discussed between Indonesia, which is keen to also participate into the fight against climate change, as we saw during the visit of President Jokowi in Glasgow for the COP26. So I'm sure we will find good terms of cooperation about that. But I want to stress one point. Europe is importing palm oil and will continue to do so.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very interesting. And moving on to the heated geopolitical situation we're seeing in Russia, Ukraine, the United States, and also NATO countries. So what is France's policy and also response to this?
France is keen to promote peace and dialogue in this matter between Ukraine and Russia. Maybe you saw that President Macron went to Russia to meet President Putin a few days ago. He went to Ukraine also and to Berlin. There's a huge military tension between Russia and Ukraine. And we think, when I say we, France, the NATO countries, the European countries, are keen to avoid any escalation to a conflict in this region. So diplomacy is really working at its full to avoid this kind of military escalation. We are at a standstill, but the latest declaration from Russia seems to point to a certain escalation, so we have to see what's happening. The French president is really one of the European statesmen the most involved in this efforts to maintain peace and stability in this region.
Okay, but are you assured that there will be no invasion and no war escalating from the tension between Russia and also Ukraine?
Nobody can be sure. The only thing that we are sure is our willingness and our efforts to avoid this kind of situation by being firm on our positions, but also open to dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Ambassador Chambard, we do know that there will be another threat to the energy crisis that Europe is currently facing if Russia decided to invade Ukraine in the future. So, is there any anticipation strategies like from the France side, maybe?
Well, we are already, apart from the Ukraine crisis, in a difficult moment about the supply of energy in Europe. So it's a more global problem. The prices are going up and it's affecting our economies in Europe, and not only in Europe, everywhere in the world. So of course we are following this aspect of the Ukraine crisis, which might make things even more difficult. That's why we have to solve it as quickly as possible, but not at any price. The independence, the survival of Ukraine is essential for us, and that's what we are explaining to our Russian friends.
Okay. Ambassador Chambard will talk more about France that has, loosened up the COVID-19 restrictions right after the break. Dan dialog akan kami lanjutkan usai jeda berikut. Tetaplah bersama kami di Prime Words.
Even if it's still could be considered as a severe blow, because we had a bit more than 150,000 deaths for the whole COVID-19 pandemic, we are quite confident now that this is the end, or in a few weeks, and that life will start normally again.